Hi, welcome to Strength Reversed. It's Amy. Thank you so much for being here. I have a deck review and walkthrough for you today, and it's only 10 months late. I got this deck for Christmas last year, and it's now October. And it is the Cirque de Tarot. Now, I got this as a Christmas gift, and when Michael buys me gifts for Christmas, especially tarot gifts, he's kind of flying blind. Like, he doesn't know what he's buying. And I think he bought this for me because I really love old-timey circuses. I love the Victorian clothes, and I think the pictures are kind of creepy and scary a little bit. It's like you can't look away. I do have a deck in that theme, but I'm not going to plug it because the creator put something that I think is really wrong on the website, and so I will not funnel people there. When I first got this, I, of course, opened the box. I browsed through Llewellyn's full color guidebook and thought, I hate it. I think I was a little bit disappointed because it's more of a Cirque du Soleil kind of circus. But the cards really repelled me for some reason. And it sat on my shelf, and it did call to me, but then I had my tower summer and all my plans got all shot to hell. So I finally had a chance to take down the box off of my bookshelf. I took it with me to my local shop where I have a tarot and tea kind of meetup, and we exchange readings. And the person who I was reading for chose this deck. It's by Leeza Robertson, by the way, illustrated by Josh Tufts. And so I finally unwrapped the cards from the cellophane, shuffled it, gave it a whirl, and has my opinion changed? That is a cliffhanger, and you'll have to stay tuned. So it comes with the lovely Llewellyn box that we all know and love with a magnetic closure, like so. I will tell you what I liked, what I didn't like so much, and then when I flip the camera around, I'm going to show you the deck in 3 parts. So I'll show you the majors, and then I will show you the minors. I'll lay out the entire suit so you can see something, see if you can understand what I'm saying about the deck. There's one thing that kind of troubles me, and then the court cards, because I don't know. The cards are standard, pretty much standard tarot card size. The generic Rider-Waite is a little bit longer, but for the most part, they are standard size. What kind of cardstock? I guess I'll call it Llewellyn cardstock. I'm not a cardstock connoisseur, so I mean, it's not totally unfortunate. It is a little bit flimsy, and it is high gloss, which I used to like glossy cards, but I like them less and less being on YouTube. If you cannot stand a high gloss deck, I'm sure there will be a matte version on the market eventually. It is Rider-Waite in structure, but not in imagery. There are some nods to the Rider-Waite in the imagery, like the 2 pillars on the High Priestess, but other than that, it's a pretty unique deck. But it is 8 for strength, justice is 11. We have the suits represented by the usual, God, I would lose on a game show because my recall under pressure is not good. It's not good. We know the 4 suits, right? Wands, swords, cups, pentacles. There you go. Page, knight, queen, king, and the like. All of the names of the majors are what you would find in a typical RWS deck. Now, I would classify this deck as fantasy. I'm not a big fan of fantasy novels, and usually not of fantasy decks. I will say this deck is growing on me. This is the guidebook. Sorry about the Post-its. We'll talk about the guidebook last because I think this is one of the strengths of the deck. It's called Under the Big Top, a guidebook to the Cirque du Tarot. So the positives and negatives. I really do like the card backs. I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to card backs. What I like is that all of the elements are represented. It's simple, it's balanced, it's reversible, which is very important, and it goes with the aesthetic of the deck. So those are all the things that I look for, and I do like this card back. It is borderless. I will show you a card here. And I like that it's borderless. However, it does have titles here, and I think that this also goes with the theme of the deck. It's not overpowering, it's not distracting, so I like what they did with the titles. I appreciate that they didn't have a border because these images are very detailed, and I wish the cards were bigger. Because, you reach a certain age. In fact, I really meant to bring my reading glasses, but you reach a certain age and it's like you can't focus even if you squint, but I'm not sure even that's it. There's lots of details, and I almost want to get a magnifying glass when I look at these cards because I want to see all the details. In that sense, it reminds me of the Mystic Dreamer. If you are familiar with this deck, the Mystic Dreamer, there are so many little details, and they're so tiny. I just wish the cards were larger so that you could look at all the details with the naked eye and, not feel like you need a magnifier. Maybe that's just me. There are people in the deck, which I appreciate. However, you can tell by the box, they're a little bit cartoonish, which I'm not sure that I like. Most of them are androgynous, not all of them, which I don't really care about that either. What I don't like is that the faces aren't very detailed, and so a lot of times it's difficult to tell what expression is on their face. Let me see if I can find an example. I just really like to have a clearer image of the person. Some of the people on the deck are really tiny, and so you can't see any details whatsoever. Well, here's the Fool card, and you can see he's very tiny, and it's hard to really tell what exactly is going on there. Also, a lot of the people are dressed in these costumes. You can imagine like the Cirque du Soleil spandex leotards. But some of the costumes make them look like jokers, especially on the court cards where they're supposed to be very regal. They look a little bit gestury. I wrote down on my notes alien, marshmallow. Some of them look marshmallowy and some of them look alien-y. It is very fantastical, and there are a lot of images that evoke Alice in Wonderland or Cinderella or things of that nature, fairy tales. What I like about this deck is that it is very elemental. So that is the kind of symbology that speaks to me more so than, say, astrology. However, there are astrological symbols. They're very subtle. Sometimes they blend into what people are wearing. Those don't really mean a whole lot to me, but I do like strong elements in my suits. And I will say, when you look at the suit of wands, for example, it is a very fiery orange, red, yellow, and you can tell it's a wand. The cups also bright blue, you can tell it's a cup. The swords and the pentacles sort of blur together and are they're not as crisp in that regard, which I wish they were. The whole deck itself is very watery, and it's not, I don't know that it's watercolor, but it kind of has this flow to it. The movement in the cards is even the fire cards seem very watery, which is not a criticism. It's kind of cool. If you're someone who classifies your decks according to that, it would probably be water. One thing I don't like, I do like that there are people in the deck, because if it's just like creatures or animals, I don't like that. One thing I don't care for is that the celestial bodies, there are a lot of suns and moons in the deck, all have faces on them. Not a fan. Okay, I don't like the whole man in the moon imagery. We have it on the Fool. You see the sun with the face. It's on the High Priestess card. We have like the man in the moon. I've never liked that, and I don't really know what else to say about that. Here are the sun and the moon. I think the sun has a mustache. I appreciate that it's more masculine and feminine, but I don't like faces. Here's the world, and there is no face, so that's good. I just don't like faces on the sun and the moon. That's a little pet peeve of mine, and it's throughout. The deck is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. I do like the colors, but something feels a little bit off to me. It's like almost there, but there's just something more that I want. It's kind of like a crispness, or it gets a little too flowy, or I want it to be even more dramatic, or the colors to be even brighter. I'm just one of those people that likes a lot of bright, bold colors and a lot of dramatic images. And, you know, I don't know if I'm hard to please in that regard, but when I look at the cards, it's like, wow, it's so pretty, but it stops short of where I want it to with the color and the drama. When I turn the camera around, you might see that the cards are a little bit similar for my taste, especially if you know, like the 2 and the 3 of wands, or actually the whole suit of wands. There's just a lot of similar imagery, and the cards all sort of blend together in my mind. And when I see it, my eyes sort of just see wands, fire, and each card individually isn't as unique as I would like it to be. And I will also, that's a problem for me in the court cards as well. I'll show you those together across the suit or across the rank, and they're just very, very similar, and I'm not sure that I like that, because I feel like every page has their own personality, every queen has her own personality, and I would like to see that reflected in the card. Now, the guidebook is amazing. It's one of those full color, smelly ink Llewellyn guidebooks, and I have a bunch of notes here. The guidebook is broken up into sections. It says, welcome to the show, and talks about setting the stage for a reading. Act 1 are the majors, the greatest show on earth. Act 2, intermission, which are the court cards. And we have pages, knights, queens, kings. I'll tell you what the guidebook says about each of those ranks, because some of it I like and some of it I don't. Act 3 is wands. It's all fire and smoke. Act 4 is cups. Dive deep and play. Act 5 is pentacles, reality revealed. Oops, did I miss swords? Oh, Act 2 is swords, the land of dreams and nightmares. Okay. And then we have encore for spreads and the finale. So I like how the guidebook is structured. Also, there's full color representation of each card, and instead of upright and reversed, it is called ally and challenger. Now, some of the cards I thought, that does not say temperance to me, or that does not say judgment. Those cards are both, you know, like fairy godmother looking people. But when I read the guidebook, I thought it was really beautifully written. And I'll read you the death card entry when we get there. So, do I like it? It is growing on me. Okay. It's kind of sparks my imagination, which is very important to me. I do see something new every time I look at the cards, and so I'm really not ready to count this deck out yet. I don't hate it. At first I had a very visceral reaction, and I thought it would never work for me. But as I keep looking at the cards and playing with the deck and organizing the deck and looking through the guidebook, I'm really starting to be a little bit intrigued by the cards. But I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm interested to hear what you guys think about whether some of the cards are too similar or not. That would be my only criticism. Okay, let me flip this around. Okay, here are the majors, and I did zoom in a little so that you could see them clearly. Here's the Fool, and you do see the Fool throughout a lot of the major cards and a lot of the cards on the deck, which I think is pretty cool. I'm not really sure if this is a dog or a rabbit. I do like the Magician. It has all the elements represented, and it's, you know, the Ringmaster. Here we have the two pillars. I don't love this Empress because I don't like that the Fool takes center stage, and she looks either, you know, lazy or entitled or something. She looks kind of like a diva, and I'm not sure that I love that. The Strong Man for the Emperor. I think this is an interesting Hierophant. It's really the only sighting of anything modern in the entire deck. I don't love this as a lover's card, but it's unique. This is an unique Chariot card because we have the Cinderella carriage and then it looks like a bunch of monks pulling it. So that is strange. I like that the Hanged Man is over water, which he traditionally is. Here is the Death card, and you see the Fool's bag here and the Magician's outfit, and then we have kind of these ghosts. I really wish the tone of this card did change, but I do wish that it was a little more dramatic. But I'm going to read what it says in the guidebook about the Death card because I think it's a good example of the kinds of entries that are in the guidebook, and it's really very good. So we have Ally. Okay, I had to pause and get my glasses. We all come to the point where we have to exit the stage, when our part has been played and who we were ceases to exist. This happens multiple times in our lifetime, before the final hurrah. There are moments when the current costume doesn't serve you well. There will be scenes where you need to switch roles, and there will be acts in which you will be asked to switch it up. In the wake of this metamorphosis, there will be ghostly echoes of the version of yourself you left behind. Believe it or not, this is progress. It's a natural cycle that must happen in order for you to stay in the flow of expansion. Things must end in order for new things to begin. Who you used to be won't be able to create the new life you dream of. Therefore, leave the pile of clothes where they lay and move on to find a much more aligned costume for the part you will play next. And then the Challenger says, specters of stories that will no longer be told stick to your discarded costume, like cobwebs of spiders who moved off long ago. Don't try to make sense of them. And it continues on to say, don't allow yourself to dwell on the old dead energy. So I think the guidebook is definitely worth a read. And what I do like that it addresses the unique imagery to a point. There are some cards where I wish there was a little more detail about how, like this one, for example, about why they picked something that looks like Cinderella's fairy godmother. Now, this devil card I think is hilarious. I think it's fun and cheeky, and I really love it. Don't love the face. This one doesn't really look super happy. And there is the world. So I will go through the deck and lay out each of the suits, and you can tell me whether you think these cards are very close together. So here is the wands. Very fiery, but you know, when I look at this, it just doesn't say Eight of Wands to me. I know that will change as I get more familiar with the deck, but a lot of it to me is just so similar. I'm not sure how much I like that. I certainly don't want to have to keep looking at the guidebook when I read. So that is the wands. Here are the swords. And several of the aces have people in the card. Now, to me, the ace is the elemental qualities of the suit, and I'm not sure if I like a person in the ace or not. To me, that's more appropriate for a court card. That's a good Eight of Wands. There are a couple of narwhals in the deck, so that's fun. Again, the faces, not sure I like. I do love this eight, the Eight of Swords. It's very fiery, though. Okay, the next suit is Cups. And I love the pinks and purples in this suit. I'm not sure why the octopus is the 7 and not the 8. Or what a whale is doing in a circus, but you know, it is kind of a fantasy. So I think this is my favorite suit as far as the colors. It is fun, a little cartoonish for me, and I would really need to delve more into the guidebook. And then finally, the Pentacles. Now the color of the Pentacles, it just has this yellowish greenish tint to all the cards. There is a rocket ship on the 4. But you can see the difference between the other suits. I think the Pentacles and the Swords are maybe harder to distinguish at first. Okay, and the last part of the deck is the court cards. Now, the court cards do something that I get it, but I'm not sure I like it. So all of the pages are essentially similar. One thing I like about this is that the way they describe the pages is getting ready for the show. And so each of these characters is at a different stage of preparation. Each of the ranks in the court cards are at a different stage of preparation. And if you look, each of these pages has the outfit that the knight of their suit wears in the next card. So here we have the wands, swords, cups, and pentacles. One thing I wish was different was I wish they all weren't doing pretty much the same thing, that they weren't so similar. That's just something I think I would prefer. So we have the knights who are a little more, they're getting ready to take the stage. And then we have the kings and queens who are, oops, I have the wrong card. That's the queen. And they do look very similar. So that's the knight. One thing that the kings and queens do is they face each other. Again, they're very similar looking, which I'm not sure that I care for, but they do this cool thing where they kind of mirror each other. There's cups, pentacles, I kind of like the imagery and I like that they do this, but I don't like that they're so similar to the knight. So that is the Cirque de Tarot. And tell me what you think about this deck. It's a beautiful deck and it's really growing on me. Here is the box. And I think I'm going to enjoy getting more familiar with it because there are lots of little details and there's something new every time I look at the deck and every time I go through it, I understand the cards a little more. So I think I have revised my initial opinion, and tell me what you think in the comments. Talk to you later.